come out, but the home console was Famicom and Atari. They just, I mean, they got, when the Jaguar came out, I don't care how much you do the math, the games didn't look good.
I wasn't feeling the controller on the Jaguar, in all honesty. I mean, it just looked like a damn telephone.
One word, Kasumi Ninja.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing, I was excited for the Atari Lynx.
I mean,
I was excited for everything challenged the Game Boy, but everything failed. So
I mean, what I really like, I can still go. What's funny, I can still go back to the 2600, and I still own mine. And it's just it gets to me. The games were so simple back then. Like, still, I can play Missile Command to death.
but let's talk. First of all, a lot of people forget the 2600 had the controls A, B versions. You could switch to A, B versions of the game, numbers. That there were actually several different versions of that single game on a single cartridge. It, you know, it wasn't just one version. You could change A or B difficulty. You could change number 1, 2, 3, whatever play mode, different modes there were. Some of these cartridges had several.
I mean, and if you think
On these
about it, the
cartridges.
2600 introduced us to so much awesome stuff. I mean, because at the time, I mean, people were playing like Centipede, Asteroids, and the arcade. Used to play that stuff, and then here comes the 2600. You can play your arcade games at home. What the hell is this?
Yeah, I mean, I have so many memories of Pole Position or the Empire Strikes Back game on the 2600. I mean, games like that I played, their commercials were on TV. Of course, back then it was a different video game market because you had people like Parker Brothers making video games,
I mean, back
and stuff
then, I
like that.
mean, it just seemed like, but I mean, in all honesty, big props out there to Atari. That's a big milestone. Been around 40 years, and you're still kicking. So I got to give them props.
Yeah, to think the fact that like 3 years ago you thought Atari was gone, and they get put off by Info Games, and then they bring Bushwell back, some other important people, and now it seems like Atari's on a decent track. That they're doing iOS games, they're doing downloadable games, and it seems that company's finally on the right track of not being such a disaster as it was.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't had too good of an experience this new generation. But I mean, like I think we can
No, I
all
personally,
agree, that
the,
we got to show them some love for being around for 40 years.
I mean, the fact that they decided on their iOS Atari Greatest Hits that on the anniversary that whole day you could download the greatest hits and all 100 games were free. You download all 100
Oh,
games on there
that's a
for
great
free.
thing because that's going to introduce a new generation to, classic games that, a lot of us grew up with.
And I mean, I played any of the Sword Quest games, so they were all on there. Just a lot of games on there I never got to play. So it's kind of cool.
But yeah, all right, let's go ahead and move to our next topic. Final Fantasy VII. I know this is the big, big thing right now going on. So what's everybody and Square Enix is saying, if we remake Final Fantasy VII now, we're done. We got nowhere else to go. I mean, what do y'all think about that?
Oh, let me get this out of the system. This is the problem that Square Enix has. They don't know how to change their Final Fantasy games no more. They are trying their best to make something like 7. They're trying their best to make something better than 7, but it's not going to happen because, one, at the time, Final Fantasy 7, when it came out, Robert said it's an overhyped game, and I could agree with that, but, at the time, visually, it was impressive for to have all that, and as well as a good quality story. I guess for me personally, when I played the game at first, I was mesmerized by the battle system and how it visually looked, and just overall having a really good soundtrack, likable characters, and just overall having an enjoyable experience and making you want to play more the game to find out what happened. That's what made Final Fantasy VII so successful, and that's what Square Enix is losing. They don't have the original team. They don't have good writers on the game. Like 13, it was good, but it wasn't as memorable. I didn't really care about Lightning, Snow, Vanilla, and to be honest, I didn't really care for the game in all honesty.
I will say that the one thing I like the most, like most people say, the Final Fantasy 13 would be the battle system, right? But I think the point is, like, they don't want to remake Final Fantasy 7 because they haven't made a game better than that yet. The team hasn't felt they made a game better than that yet. And if they remake it, it's the end of the series. Well, I don't understand. They need to get back to the basics of Final Fantasy as far as I'm concerned.
I'll agree to that.
What made the series good? Why do people love it? And
See,
it's about the story.
the only thing that I possibly see that could have a little bit of hope is Versus 13. That is one game that everybody has forgotten, and I could understand that everybody just now is at the point where they don't care about it. But honestly, I could feel that could be the Final Fantasy VII #2 for us because it could be the most visually impressive game, possibly the most impressive story of the game.
Yeah, and I hope it
I
does
just
do
don't-
well. Because
I just don't think that game's coming out. Something's coming out.
I mean, I really think that they do need to make up for 14 online because I did play a little bit of 14 online, and I will admit it was a train wreck.
Interesting enough, with Final Fantasy 11, they're still putting out new content. Like they did a whole concert for Final Fantasy 11, and pretty much the creators said, we're putting out still new content, which is interesting because it's still running on the PS2. The PS2, come on.
But it's also on the PC also.
Yeah, and then 360.
But they said it's highly successful. It's highly profitable for them. Obviously,
So I mean, that is a good thing. One good thing with them, they got something, they took it, it was successful for them. So hey, why not put out new content for it?
Well, 11 kind of was like they were hoping the players from 11 would migrate to 14, but since 14 is a train wreck, that pretty much, even though I respect the fact that they reworked it and they're going to released it and everything, but people aren't going to play it now, and so 11 people are still playing it. So why not make new content for it?
Yeah, but as far as 7 goes, I mean, yes, it would be nice to see a remake out of it, with updated graphics, but
The thing is that Square knows that game will sell a ton because a lot of people really want to see a remake of it.
Let's look at this truthfully, though. They have to rebuild that game from scratch.
Scratch, yeah.
The question to them is it going to sell well enough worth the cost?
Mhm.
Now, a lot of gamers say all the time about how I would buy that if they remade that game, but then when it actually comes time and you really look at the numbers, remakes never sell even close to what the original game sold.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the problem is. I've heard at one point Sega made this argument with Shenmue 3 that sometimes it's like what the gamers want and what financially makes sense to your company are two different things. I do think the longer Square goes without making Final Fantasy VII, the more hype it gets. So that whenever they go to make Final Fantasy VII, or maybe they get someone like Nintendo or somebody to pay them money to make it, there'll be more hype around that game when it finally does get released.
Yeah, because like when they released the tech demo for PS3 and when Final Fantasy,
everybody went crazy over that.
there's going to be a remake, which kind of shot Square in the foot because now everybody's really wanting it, and now that they announced that they don't want to do
All
a remake,
right, I know I'm going to turn a lot of heads with this, but I'm going to say it flat out. Square does not owe us as gamers a remake or reboot of Final Fantasy VII. I'm sorry, they don't.
don't. I could be honest with that. I enjoyed the PS1 version. I don't need to see myself replaying it again.
But Square was such a smaller company back then to now. They're just a big conglomerate company that owns a lot of stuff now. They're not the same company, and a lot of people left who made those games. But let's not. I think Square's. I understand in some respect why Square doesn't want to do it. Right now, the Final Fantasy is kind of as a series at a low right now because of 13 and all that stuff. That maybe they want to wait till they get Final Fantasy. The next one, with 15 has been rumored to be being worked on. Whenever they actually show it, and if it gets gamers excited, then maybe they'll bring.
Well, this is the thing, though. This is the game that's been like in development for 6 years. But when they released gameplay, to be honest with you, that really did impress me how visually the game looks because it did push the PS3 graphics to the limit.
I'm talking about 13.
Versus,
Well, I just don't think that's coming out. I mean, the generation is almost over. I think it's almost past its time of coming out.
I mean, if anything, Square Enix does with Final Fantasy, I just basically see it, happen on the handhelds at this point. Until next generation.
Most RPGs are going to be in handheld, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we're going that way. I mean, handheld. Whether people want to believe it or not, the handhelds are going to be the kind of the future of gaming. I mean,
Right. I
All
mean,
my son's friends are playing in iOS devices and handhelds. They're not playing a home console. It's just
It's in the past.
it is. Yeah, the home console is eventually. I mean, home console to be more of a base thing. Where your handheld communicates to it when you get back home and you play your big TV or whatever. But yeah,
I
I don't
mean,
know.
in all honesty, I mean, when I feel it's kind of wrong for Square Enix to tease that demo when they did on the PlayStation 3 because then everybody was expecting it. I mean, that's one thing I can't stand. Why tease something when you don't plan on delivering it?
But then again, when we think about it in a development standpoint, Final Fantasy VII was 3 discs long on the CD. If they're gonna redo the game, everything by every little detail, I would believe it would take probably 2 Blu-rays to fully complete that game. Full.
I don't know. You're talking 3D graphics versus 2D hand drawn graphics. It's not going to look the same.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's a lot of work for them to do. I mean, you got to think of how much work it is to rebuild that game from the ground up. But rebuilding it, but making it where you can use modern stuff into it, not make the game. Because that game was dark, and at times sometimes didn't exactly know where to go, stuff in that game. But I enjoy the game. It's not my favorite Final Fantasy game. So, but I don't know. I just don't think it's one of those kind of games that's better off sometimes not being remade.
Then, at the same time, Square kind of did mess up because when you have Crisis Core, they did introduce a new character, so it is kind of a way they're hinting of a possible remake of the 7 series. Because I don't want to spoil anything, but at the end of the game, pretty much they pick up one of the first-class soldiers' bodies with 2 different soldiers that are clones. So they are hinting that they might make another remake of the game.
I mean,
Well, I mean, let's be honest here. Final Fantasy VII characters generally have showed up, like Mario Basketball on the DS. They had Final Fantasy characters in that. They've done this before. I mean, it's not the first time they.
right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just feel like, if a series, if they had to go back and change everything, I can agree with you, Trouble. I mean, will it hold gamers' appeal as it did when it first came out?
Think of this one thing about Square, for example, doing this game again. Okay, gamers who love Final Fantasy VII. Let's be honest. Most of the gamers have been around since PlayStation 2. Most of those guys, younger generation, the first RPG they ever played was Final Fantasy VII. So I completely understand the love for that game. But if they're going to play that game and go through that thing with a fine-tuned code, if any little thing is off in that game, they're going to be butthurt. They're going to go crazy.
Yep.
No, and then the thing too is like the generation that I grew up with Final Fantasy VII. We're older now, and like the next generation is gonna be like, "What the hell is this Final Fantasy VII?" They never played it.
And it's gonna make, some gamers, feel like, why has it taken them so long to do this? But then again, I mean, I'm gonna say, my final verdict on the subject is, it's a yes and no for me. Yes, I would like them to come up with some new properties, see what, yes, but, they shouldn't be using that, and no, because they shouldn't be using that game as their scapegoat. If they get into trouble, to bail them out.
To me personally, it's a big no because there's really no point of them remaking the game. Instead they should work on doing the next game. For me, versus 13 or the next game because I feel this way with HD games. There's really no point to redo it just to get easy money when you could develop the next great game.
Well, they're making them in